Hello everyone. So in this video I'm going to just give a quick overview of the course, what I'm going to actually teach in this course, the project we are going to do, right? And I'm going to make sure that I go straight to the point. Okay, so without wasting much time. So the main course material I'm going to use is Tezos.com, the content of Tezos.com. So that is, we are going to follow a similar content here, right? And in here I'll make sure to go in depth and explain everything that is going on, and we are going to do all these things together, so you'll not be left alone. So you can already start exploring Tezos.com. One place that I'll recommend you start exploring is the blockchain basics, which it has the introduction. It talks about main properties of the first blockchain and then everything. So in this course I'm going to skip this part because I want you to read it yourself, right? This is like history of the blockchain, and I recommend you read the history of the blockchain. How did we get here with blockchain, right? This course is going to focus on developing applications on the blockchain, so I'm not going to go through all that history and stuff, but yeah, you have to go through that, right? So and I'm going to dive straight into explaining what smart contract is, teaching you how to write smart contracts and how to connect to the smart contract from the front-end application. Okay, so we are not going to do an unnecessary stuff. We are just going to dive right into the practical stuff, and that is what you should expect from this course. So when we talk about a decentralized applications, that is what we are going to learn how to build in this course. We talk about applications for a simple definition, or I think the definition that matters to me is an application that has an element of blockchain in it, or that interacts with a smart contract on blockchain. If you have an application that interacts with a smart contract on blockchain, you can call it a decentralized application. That is all. So an application that has a smart contract component, right? And in this course, the smart contract we are going to, the blockchain platform we are looking into is Tezos. Okay, so when you take the Tezos blockchain, the Tezos blockchain is just made up of, it's a collection of nodes. Nodes are think of them like servers, right? But in this case, anyone can set up their own node. You can even set up your own node, and in this course I'll take you through setting up your own node. It will just be like a very quick and brilliant demonstration that I'm sure you'll be interested in. And then you have your nodes. The nodes is what hold all the data in the blockchain, everything, and nodes communicate with each other. In Tezos we have also a special node, or a special group of people called bakers. The bakers are responsible for creating new blocks and everything on Tezos, right? So as I said, you can get all this from within the the introduction stuff here, and then you can even come and read this introduction, right? And you can get most of this stuff. So I'm not going to waste a lot of time explaining these things. We're just going to dive straight into smart contracts, building smart contract with Python and connecting it to the front end and everything. That's what we're going to be doing. And of course, as we go on, some of these concepts will come up, and I'll try to explain them. In fact, I'll make sure I explain them clearly, right? So this is like a big overview of what we call decentralized applications. So decentralized applications are applications that connect to the blockchain in one way or the other, right? And we have this side here, we call them block explorers. You can see I'm showing you block explorers, right? So block explorers is like, the blockchain data on blockchain is open, is available to everyone, right? But the block explorers is like just a website that allows you to see the data on the blockchain, right? And you can, if you don't trust, you can build your own block explorer, because the data that is being used in the block explorer is publicly available. So on Tezos we have an example block explorer is TZ start. Okay, and when I go here, I can see certain information or what is currently happening on the Tezos blockchain. I can see like blocks, and then I can drill into the blocks, and I can see the transaction in the block, what is happening basically. And all this is being picked from nodes on the Tezos blockchain, right? So block explorers, they just connect to the blockchain, take the data there and display it nicely, right? And some of them also have APIs that we can use in our decentralized application. For example, another great block explorer is the TZKT block explorer. And with this TZKT block explorer, we can look at the API. So it's just something you can use to access the data on TZKT, right? And here we will use this in our courses. Okay, so like get accounts, you can get a list of other some accounts that are on the Tezos blockchain. What interesting endpoint, we are going to use them here. You can get block count, you can get blocks, right? So these are all interesting stuff. And in fact, if you like, you can look at this API and you can use it to build your own block explorer, of course. So there are limited possibilities here. So this TZKT website is actually using this API, right? Mostly, okay, to show this nice interface, and you can build your own nice interface on it or whatever you want. So block explorer is just a website that shows you the data or what is going on the blockchain, on a given blockchain. And for Tezos, there are many block explorers. These are just the two that I'll show you right now, and you can go and look for the rest of them, right? There's also another one called BetaCordev. It is also an interesting block explorer, and its main use case is mainly used for smart contract because it gives you interesting tools that allows you to interact with smart contract directly from the block explorer, right? So we'll drill into all of this in our tutorial series. There's a lot of interesting things, guys. I'm getting heated up even talking about this right now. And yeah, so the decentralized application. So let's dive deep into what a decentralized application is, right? So a decentralized application is just, as I've already explained, it's an application that has a smart contract component, or let's say, yes, a smart contract component. And a smart contract is code that is running on the blockchain. So your application connects to this smart contract to do something, right? Then we call it a dApp. That is the definition we are going with. And we have what we call the back end, usually like a server, right? Sometimes you might need a server to do certain stuff, with a decentralized application you are building here and there or something. It's not everything that could go onto the smart contract, and you understand what I'm talking about as we go on in the course. And then you need a front end. The front end is the application that the user is going to use, right? And this is what the end users will see. They don't care about the smart contract or the back end. Honestly, what they are going to see is the front end, right? And although these guys are very important, I'm not saying they are not, but they are important. But what the user at the end of the day is going to see is a front end app. And for the front end app to work properly, of course, the smart contract needs to work properly, and the back end needs to work properly. And the front end also needs to look nice. So when we talk about front end, we are talking about, like mobile app, web app, desktop app, that kind of vibe. So that's it with a decentralized application, right? So there are a lot of decentralized applications available, and anyone can build their own, honestly. So in this course, that is basically what we are going to do. We are going to learn how to build a decentralized application. So we are not just going to build smart contracts, but we are going to start with a project in mind, right? So I have here a list of projects. So the first one of the main projects we'll be working on is what? Blockchain-based achievement record system. So what is an achievement record system? Like those websites where Like for instance, if you take a course on maybe Udemy or Coursera, they give you a link which you can use to show that you've actually to show your certificate, right? So what if we have a blockchain based record of your certificate, right? That one can even be more trusted, right? And so we are going to look how to build into how to build such a system, right? And this is we are going to use this as an example from the start. Okay, so we are not just going to build random stuff, simple stuff, and just say we are learning how to build application. We are going to build application from the ground up, right? And so that is what you should expect in this tutorial. That's the main project we are going to do, blockchain-based achievement record system. And then we have one side project is blockchain-based voting system. Now, if you see this links here, these links are just papers to research, links to research papers, and it's very important. Like when you're building blockchain applications, blockchain is very, very much academic thing, although it's also in the industry. But it's good that when you're building applications on blockchain, you look into papers that have been written about those things. If you realize most blockchain applications come with white papers, right? And your application, whatever you're going to build, will look more attractive if you have a white paper attached to it. And so we'll be looking at reading some of these papers, not like reading it like in tutorial. No, that's boring. But you can go and read it. I'll just read it and summarize what they are saying for you, but it will be good to read it, right? Just get accustomed to it. And we are going to use. I'm going to put all these links, of course, in the description for you, and then you're going to be able to follow it. So, and then we will explore certain contracts. Now, we are not going to write these ones from scratch, but we are going to just explore what has been written, right? So, for instance, if you take a multi-sig contract, there is already good examples of multi-sig contract. You are just going to take the code and we are going to drill down into it. Okay. And so talking about the code, when you ask how we're going to write a code. So I've already explained to you what a block explorer is. Now, so if you look at this diagram, you need the block explorers. You also need the smart contract, right? That's this DAP diagram. You need the block explorer. Sorry, you need the smart contract, you need the back end, you need the front end. So for writing smart contract, we are going to use, there are two options that I'm aware of, right? In fact, there are three options, but the last one is not. So, in Tezos, the main language of Tezos is what we call Michelson. That's this one. Right, this is Michelson, but as you can see, it might not exactly be I don't want to say, but it's readable for some people but not for everyone. But we are familiar with Python, right? So you can write Python code, and then the Python code will magically turn into the Michelson code, and then you can put this Michelson code on the Tezos blockchain. And this Michelson code, of course, if you're very familiar with Michelson code, you can just write your Michelson code directly. But honestly, I'll tell you, I'm not familiar with that. So I'm familiar with Python. So I'll just write Python code and convert to Michelson, right? And so we are going to use SmartPy to learn this stuff. So when you go to SmartPy documentation, actually, so SmartPy recently added, initially it was just Python, but also you can write smart contracts with TypeScript. TypeScript, which is just like JavaScript with some extra stuff, so you can write, if you're already familiar with TypeScript or JavaScript, you can easily learn how to write smart contract on Tezos. Or if you're already familiar with Python, right, which is actually also very easy to learn. So if you're even not familiar with it, you can already take a crash course and you can already be familiar with it, right? So these are the two. This is the tool we are going to use, SmartPy. Actually, that is what we are going to use to learn how to build a smart contract on Tezos, and that's how you are going to build smart contracts on Tezos, right? So you can start exploring it already. And then the other one is the LIGO. Honestly, I'm not familiar with LIGO, so I'm not going to touch any of that in this course. But it does the same thing as SmartPy, right? Because as I said, the main language of Tezos is Michelson, so you need to write in some language like that you're familiar with. I need to convert to Michelson for you. Some people are also familiar with certain languages, like if you read the description, we have some language called JS Lego, Camel Lego, Pascal Lego, Raisin Lego, right? So Pascal, if you've heard of Pascal, or if you've heard of Raisin, or if you've heard of Camel, right? So you can just go to the docs, and if you are familiar with any of these, you can actually use any of these instead of using the Python, right? But for me, I'm familiar with Python, so that is what I'm going to use in this course. And now, once you've written the smart contract and you've put the smart contract on the blockchain, right, on the Tezos blockchain, now you need a way to interact with the smart contract from your front end application, right? You need a way to interact with your smart contract from your front application. And for that interaction, that's where we have the client libraries, right? So the client library is a library that allows you to interact with the smart contract from the front end application. So one of the client libraries we have is we call Taquito, right? Taquito. So Taquito is a JavaScript, a TypeScript library. And you install Taquito, and already install Taquito, you can do basic things like even transferring Tezos from one place to another. You can already call like smart contract endpoints with Taquito. Okay, you can do a lot of things with Taquito. So when we are building an application which has JavaScript, or which is built with JavaScript, we are going to use Taquito, right? And Taquito is not the only thing. There's also another one called PyTezos. This is a Python library that you can use to interact with your smart contract or even the Tezos blockchain as a whole, right? So if you're doing something related to Python, actually, you can just use PyTezos to do that. And can you see this? So this is a notebook here, and you can actually interact with the blockchain using the notebook. It's so interesting. So we are going to do all of this. We are going to play around with all of these tools with Taquito, PyTezos, and there's another one called Console.js, which is also a JavaScript library, and you can use that to interact with the Tezos smart contract. All right. So that's basically the short introduction I wanted to give to you guys. This is the overview, guys. This is the project we are going to build. We are going to be a full-fledged project, right, from start to finish. It will be a web application, and then we are going to deploy it. So we are going to see everything from start to finish, how we think about it. We design everything together, right? And we will also build some side projects. We will also look into some standard smart contracts, right? So if you're not excited, then I don't know, maybe you're just not interested in this stuff. But if you're excited, then meet me in the other videos, and let's explore the Tezos blockchain and Tezos smart contract together. See you.